guys, and welcome to the Tsulong raid guide video. As always, this is going to have the ability scrolling above my head, and I'm going to kind of go over 10 and 25 man, but again, this is a 25 man point of view. For this fight, you do need two tanks. You do need a tank for the boss. They need to be able to switch so they can reset their stacks. That's really the only reason you need two tanks in this phase. Otherwise, it's a pretty simple fight, at least tanking wise. As far as the rest of the fight, this is actually my favorite fight so far in this entire expansion, as it makes you, it allows every part of your raid to shine, your healers and your DPS. It's just really great, guys. What it does, okay, is there's two phases. There's the night phase, which you're seeing now, and then there's the day phase, which we'll get into in a little bit. The night phase is the DPS race, okay? What you're doing in this phase is everybody's tunneling into the boss. There's no ads in normal mode. There's nothing to worry about other than tunneling into the boss. There's a couple abilities that you need to watch out for, but other than that, it's pretty simple. First things first, obviously it's a dragon. We don't stand in front of dragons. If we can do that, you're GG in positioning wise. You do need to stay spread out slightly. And you also need to understand what's going on in this phase. What's going on is you're getting stacks throughout the fight, right? You'll see them. I believe they're called Dread Shadows. But you get this stacking debuff on you that will just stack until it kills you. The easiest way to do this is around 10 to 15 stacks. Reset your stack. How you reset it? You go in the light beam, drops off, you get out of the light beam. That's pretty much all you have to do to drop your stacks. You go back, you reposition yourself, and you're good to go. Now the beam will switch locations. Just remember, if you get to like 12 stacks and then it switches and you're like, uh-oh, you know, just pop a personal cooldown, help the healers out a little bit. Again, the biggest thing in this phase is to try to conserve as much healer mana as possible while doing the most single target DPS that you can. And it's a set time. It's not a percentage thing. It's a set time. So after a set amount of time, he will then switch over into the day phase. In this phase, Tsulong actually becomes healable, and the healer's job is to heal him to full. That's their job. This is their time to shine. Now, what do the DPS and the tanks do? Well, there's a big ad called the Elemental Terror, which they need to. You need to immediately get in front of the boss and then nuke down, because he will then spawn a bunch of little ads after he gets out, and then those little ads can be cleaved down by the breath. Also, he will spawn a bunch of unstable Shaw around the outside of the room. Now, this is what your DPS is pretty much occupied with, at least your range. You want to assign your range to, you know, okay, you kill anything in this quadrant, this quadrant, this quadrant, blah, 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 blah. Their number one priority as a range DPS is making sure that there's 0 unstable Shaws up and switching to those Elemental Terrors as soon as they come, the big ads, just to nuke them down as quick as possible. Healers, you need to be in front of the dragon in this phase. When he does his breath, you get a 6-second buff, and this buff will allow you to do a ton more healing. So any hybrid classes that you have, any main healers that you have, everybody who can throw a big heal needs to be in front of the boss. And then in this phase, again, obviously you're just, as soon as that breath comes out, you're healing your face off. If you can time it right, you can get it so as soon as the breath comes out, you've already pre-casted, and it's coming out right as that breath goes out. If you can do that, good, because that will help. If you can get 1 or 2 extra heals off, it will make a huge difference in the overall end of the fight. There are healers doing tremendous amounts of healing on this fight to Tsulong, and it's really a cool thing to see. The only other thing that healers have to watch out for during the day phase is an ability that you have to dispel. It's called Terrorize. It will be on players. It will also be on the boss. This needs to be dispelled instantly, and I cannot stress this enough. What happens is if it's not dispelled instantly, the boss just loses HP and loses HP and loses HP while you're healing him. And you just can't have it happen. Same thing with the ads. If the unstable Shaws, if they make it all the way to the boss, you're screwed. Okay, like, I don't know how else to tell you that this needs to happen. You have to dispel. That is the biggest thing in this fight, is making sure that you're dispelling during that phase. Again, after a certain amount of time, he's going to go back into the night phase, like you see here, and it's literally rinse and repeat, guys. It's the same exact thing. You're popping your cooldowns again, you're saving everything you got to just tunnel into the boss. Again, for this fight, if you can do it right, there's not a ton of movement for DPS. It's resetting your stacks, going back to where you there will be purple pools that spawn on the ground that you need to not stand in because it will fear you and do damage. And again, our goal in this phase is, as a DPS, is to not take unnecessary damage. You will take some damage. You will take some damage from the stacks, but you need to understand that your job in this fight is to tunnel single target DPS into the boss and remain and keep your uptime high and your overall DPS into the boss extremely high. The only other thing you need to do is try to get the healer's mana, try to keep it up. They will be blowing, this is where they're blowing their raid-wide cooldowns like Bubble and everything else, because there's really, and Trank, because you don't really want to blow those in the day phase, because let's be honest, it's not a huge, meaty single target heal, and the whole point again is tunneling single target heals into Tsulong. This is the whole point of the fight, guys. This is all you do is just this and then that and then this and then that. Night, day, night, day. And you only get 2 of each phase. If you get through the second day phase and he is not healed to 100% life, trust me, when you go to night phase, we call this phase the raid leader's pissed off phase. Because what will happen is if he goes through a second day phase and actually makes it all the way through and turns back into night phase, GG, it's over. He will kill all of you. That is his enrage timer. I don't know what else to tell you. It sucks. That's your whole objective, is obviously DPS night phase as hard as you can while staying out of the purple circles on the ground and while keeping your buff stacks under control and resetting them when your raid leader tells you to, or at least when the set amount of stacks that he tells you to is around. Obviously you have to go through the sunbeam to do that. Other than that, you're single targeting into the boss. Day phase, again, quick overview. We're healing the boss as much as we can. We're standing in front of the breath if we're healing. DPS are burning ads down, big ads and little ads. Nothing can hit the boss, and we're dispelling terrorize. Okay, guys, if you can do all those things, you can do this fight. Once you get used to it, you realize that that's literally all it is, and it becomes a really, really fun fight. I love this fight because it allows every single person in your raid to shine as a healer or a DPS. Hope you liked it, guys. We'll see you in the next one.